Okay, so I have a day one Switch here, and I have Super Mario Wonder for the Switch 1 that I'm going to try in just a second. So we're going to go to English here. We're going to go to the Americas. We're going to hit accept there on that end user license agreement. Now, we obviously do not want to get connected to the internet because we want to leave this Switch 2 on the very lowest firmware that is possible, and I believe it is at 19.0. So for internet settings here, we're going to select the option that says don't set. And from here, we're going to go ahead and select our time zone. And it looks like it is going to want me to go ahead and put all of that in manually. So I'm going to do so. And we'll press OK here. And we do not have another Nintendo Switch. So we're going to select Don't Transfer. And here's just some information about the play style. And at this point, it is going to make me detach these Joy-Cons manually before to let me go any further. Okay, so I've went ahead and I've got those detached now. So for the rest of this, we're going to go ahead and select later on this screen right here. And we're going to skip this next screen here. And we're going to set OK. And now it is going to ask us to add a user. Okay, so right here, we can see that we can add without signing in. The other option is to sign in with a Nintendo account. Obviously, since we want to keep this one completely offline in that very lowest firmware, we cannot sign in to the internet here. So I'm going to select add without signing in. And there we go. And we're going to select an icon here. We'll just take Mario and I will put in my nickname. Okay, so there we go. I have now been added and we are going to skip from adding anybody else. Said no to the parental guidelines there. And we're going to hit the home button. Okay, I kind of like that startup music there. So we're going to go all the way back over here to system settings. And we're going to scroll down and see what firmware that this thing is on. Okay, right there we see it is at version 19.0.0. And that is the absolute lowest system firmware that you can be on right now on a Switch 2. Okay, so I have heard that Switch 1 games do not work without an update. And well, let's just go ahead and find it out directly for ourselves. So I'm going to go ahead and get this game inserted in here. And let's close the top. And let's give this a shot. And there it is. Please connect to the internet and update your system. So yeah, obviously there isn't anything that can happen here since there isn't internet access. But yeah, it looks like you cannot play any Switch 1 games on a Switch 2 Day 1 console. Now, I cross-referenced a couple of different things that I had investigated myself with this over here on Twitter, which was from Does It Play, which is absolutely an authority on this sort of topic. And they said, Switch 2 hardware check. Setup works offline. And then it says the launch unit firmware is 19.0.0, which I was also able to verify myself. It then stated that Switch 1 games appear on the home screen, but tell you to update the system upon opening it. And well, we just saw again that that is correct. Now, it does state here that launch game cards, so Switch 2 titles, it says trigger a 19.1.0 update included on the cart. So basically with the 19.0.0, it would not play Switch 1 or Switch 2 games, but if you take any of the Switch 2 launch games and insert them into the system, then you will go up to 19.1.0. And then finally, it says game share backwards compatibility and online features require firmware beyond 19.1.0. So we saw the second patch come out, and that one is the one that they call the day one firmware update, and that is version 20.1.1. Now, it says that this patch was required to enable a ton of different things, like the Nintendo Switch Online, virtual game cards, but then backwards compatibility. So, in order to play the original Nintendo Switch games, you will need to update to this version. It also enables the use of the micro SD Express card and a few other things. Okay, so if you are planning on getting a Switch 2 to potentially be hacked, and we have no idea if any of this is really going to matter, but I would obviously get that day one hardware. So the Switch 2 that just came out today, that is the hardware that I would get. The second thing, as far as the firmware goes, you do not need to log in to Nintendo to download this day one patch. You will be able to get that on a game card later on, as we already know that if you insert a Switch 2 game card, that it will automatically update to that 19.1.0. So now that we know you can update a Switch 2 completely offline, there is no reason to connect your Nintendo Switch 2 to the internet. Now, I have a Nintendo Switch 2 that I am going to connect to the internet, and I am going to update it. And if you want to see that process, then just stay right here. All right, thanks for watching. Here's the rest of the video. We can accept this end user license agreement here, and now we need to set up the internet. So there is my Wi-Fi, and then I have a wired connection down here. So we'll go up to Wi-Fi, and I'll go ahead and put that password in there, and now it shows the connection succeeded. Okay, update data, and we'll select next on this and let it go ahead and download that in the background. We're going to select our time zone, and here is just a couple of screens that talks a little bit about the play style and really how to detach the Joy-Con. So at this point, it basically is forcing me to detach it. And now I've taken both of them off, and it says select next with the controller. And it's just giving you some information on how to hold the Joy-Con 2 controllers in a couple of different ways and how to attach that to a grip. And there is obviously a number of little guides that's already built in here. Here's how to remove them, and then using the straps that came with it. And then to remove a strap, yeah, basically you can select a number of different play styles. So from here, it is starting to download, and we're just going to let that finish up here. Okay, so now it needs to restart the system in order to update. So let's get it restarted. Okay, so coming back, it says system update complete, and we'll press OK on that. Now, I do not have any data to transfer, so I'm just going to select don't transfer on this one. And we do need to add a user. Now, I do have a user that I'm going to use on this one. So from here, you basically scan your QR code, and then you enter a 5-digit verification code that came from your phone or your tablet, and press OK here, and it should add that user. Okay, so it says next we need to set up an icon. So we'll just pick Yoshi here. Odd that Mario is not an option here. So let me go ahead and add in my initials. And there we go, MB Crump added to the system. Okay, now let's go ahead and we'll press OK on this next one. And we're going to skip for adding other people at the moment. So we'll take skip on that one, and we do not need any parental controls. Okay, so from here, I did buy a micro SD Express card. And so now I need to put that into the system. And what it will do here is it will activate it. So it says open the stand and then insert the micro SD card into the slot. And here we go. It says the micro SD card can now be used. Please continue without ejecting. Okay, so from here, setup is complete. So we'll press on the home button and it gives us the nice little Nintendo Switch 2 logo. And here is our home screen. Okay, so right off the bat, there is absolutely nothing in the main menu. So you will have to either insert a game card or purchase something from the Nintendo shop. What I want to do first off is I want to go all the way over here to System Settings. And then let's scroll down just a little bit into this. And let's go to System. And then we will go to System Settings. And you can see that right now, if I check for the system update, I am on 20.1.1. Okay, so our dock is also completely up to date. And just scrolling down through here, looking at a few of these menus, I think it would be worth turning on this one to give us the battery percentage information. And you can either turn system software updates on or off. Just go ahead and turn that off for the moment. Okay, so we'll go up to sleep mode and I'll at least just show you what's in each one of these menus with this current firmware version. So we'll go to notifications and there you can turn on notification sounds and so forth. So for themes, there is a light theme and there is also a dark theme, or a basic dark is what they call it. So here's what the light theme looks like. And I'll tell you what, I really don't like that theme as much. So let's go over to our themes and let's select basic dark. And right off the bat, I like that one much, much better. Okay, so we just went over themes, and then for Amiibo, as well as you can use a Mii if you still want to. Here is the display resolutions, but I do have this one hooked up to a capture card, which doesn't support all of the fancy HD graphics. And there is audio, and there is the controller and the accessories. Let's just go back over to that and we'll select the change grip order. And I did buy the Switch 2 Pro controller, so let's go ahead and try to get that one paired on here. Okay, there it goes. That was very easy to do, which is what I would assume since it is a Nintendo product. Okay, so you can map these new GL/GR buttons if you want to. That's only available on the Pro controller. And right now I just have one user. As you can see there, for my data management, I have 232 gigabytes of the system memory free. And then for that micro SD Express, that one was also the same size. So there is parental controls, which we don't need, as well as screen brightness. There's airplane mode, support, and health information. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and insert a Switch 1 game into the console here, and let's see how well this works. So there is Super Mario Brothers Wonder. So now let's go ahead and see if we can play it on this current version or if we need to get an update. Okay, so there is an update. So it looks like pretty much most all of the Switch 1 games all require some sort of update in order to play them. But at least this one is not too big to download. And so now let's go ahead and run this cart. Obviously, this is a real cart that I purchased. Okay, so it looks like Super Mario Brothers Wonder is working just fine. There is my username. And I really wouldn't expect to have any other problems out of this game. Okay, so let's go ahead and head over to the Nintendo eShop. And that is because I would like to go ahead and enter my code to get Mario Kart World downloaded. Now it says right here that I've got to do a few things. So here again, this is the second time I've had to enter a QR code upon just trying to use this thing. So here again, I've got to pull out my phone and then scan the QR code. And let's go ahead and see if we can get signed in. Looks like we are signed in now. So what I need to do is scroll all the way down here to the bottom, go to enter code, and then from here, let's go ahead and enter in the code that I got on the insert. Okay, so confirm content to redeem. This is Mario Kart World, so you have to scroll down here and then you can press on the button to redeem it. And there we go. It says, thank you, Mario Kart World. So we're going to hit close on this. And it says a virtual game card has been added. So there is my name. So let's go to About Virtual Game Cards. And it says some digital software and downloadable content will include a virtual game card when purchased. Okay, so it looks like you can access all of your game cards just through the home menu. Okay, so we'll hit OK on that. That's a weird animation. It basically just shows a disc being crunched into the console. And there we go. Mario Kart World is starting to download. Now, let's go ahead and try out this game chat functionality. So we need to select a user here, which I just did, and it says, let's get you set up. So with game chat, you can chat with friends while you play all together anytime, anywhere. And it looks like this will be free until March 31st, 2026 without a Nintendo Switch Online membership. So that is really nice to hear. Afterwards, you will need one. So you do need to take a look through the game chat terms. And there is a couple of things that I have already heard of that's a bit interesting in here. So one of them is your chat is recorded. And then if we scroll down here, it says we review reported chats to uphold our community guidelines. Yeah, so obviously they're going to be listening in on that. And now this is the weird thing. You've got to do a phone number verification. So it says to use game chat. You will need to confirm your number. This is the third time it has asked for my QR code, just trying to get this thing set up. So I'm going to go ahead and do this again for the third time. And now it has my phone number saved. So we'll hit OK on that and hit next here and select the friends you know for approval. And I don't have any on this account, so I'm going to hit OK there. And then it says, when using game chat, sign in, please respect others. So we hit OK and OK. And so now we have access to game chat. Okay, well, I don't have anyone on this account at the moment, but I would be looking forward to checking that out with someone. So let's see what else is included in this. So there is a news feed. So it looks like there's just a bunch of articles on launch day games, like parental controls and things of that nature in there. There was the eShop, which we've already been into. There is an album here. So the album is where you can basically take a screenshot or a video. Obviously, you can't capture it in there, but I should be able to capture one right here. Okay, so now if I go back into album, there it is. And it looks like there is some other kind of fancy editing features that you can do there. So let's just see. There is add text. Okay, so I just put my name on the screen here, and we can change the color there, and you can make the size bigger. You can also rearrange where you want to put this on the screen. So yeah, I guess it just has some very basic functionality for text. And you can save that image, and well, there you go. Let's see what else that we've got. There is Game Share. So Game Share is where you can play with other people wherever it supports Game Share. So you can hit About here, and there is a couple of instructions on how to start a Game Share session. We'll just close out of that. There is the controller. So it's pretty easy to get these controllers set up. Obviously, it should be, since these are the ones that's by Nintendo. Here is those new GLGR buttons. So these are brand new, and basically you can map these to buttons, and here is some instructions on that. And there is how to use mouse controls. And so there it's just giving you a little bit of information on how to use a mouse control. And then let's go over to virtual game cards. So we'll check out my game cards, which will only just be this one right here. And so we'll hit next on the screen. and it just gives you a little bit more information on how to select them and then to load them. So there we go. We just have one on my system right now. So we have already explored the system settings, but again, most of you might be interested in the system update, and that one is on 20.1.1. And then finally, there's a sleep mode and then Nintendo Switch Online. Okay, so Mario Kart has finished downloading, so we'll just go ahead and give this a quick try here. And I do want to remind you, if you do want to see a bunch of unboxings and other things like that, I'm about to start releasing them on my second channel, which is called Michael's Gaming Channel. So I recorded a bunch of footage and I cannot wait to get that uploaded because you will be able to see a few things that I didn't share here on my main channel. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Michael, out!